Hello traders, Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com, February 2nd, 2025. In this edition of your weekend video newsletter, we'll discuss the indices moving higher last week and then reversing on Friday after tariffs were announced, leaving us with 3 bullish indicators, 11 neutral and 6 bearish to start Monday trading. Bottom line, due to a lack of support until we get down to about 59.50, we will be cautious going forward at this time. The S&P 500 will start with a bearish bias on Monday due to the pullback we saw on Friday. We are sitting above the volatility trigger at 60.15 or 25 points above that level. We definitely want to stay above the volatility trigger. With 2 distribution days this week, MACD and stochastics are still moving lower, and RSI is still above 50 but fading. With respect to SPY, we closed about a point below its volatility trigger, currently at 603. With the Qs closing right on its volatility trigger of 522. Looking for a bounce, though the New York FANG components are mixed to start the week, closing with a shooting star right at the 9 EMA, just above the 21-day. If you're bearish, I'd be watching for cracks in stocks like Google and AMD reporting this week, along with Amgen and a few others, with RSI, MACD, and stochastics doing pretty much what the major indices are doing. So we need to see options fill in this week, and if you're bullish, we need to see a rally in these New York FANG components for starters, as breadth started to fade to end the week with the S&P 500 in the top panel, mid caps, small caps, and NASDAQ in the lower panel in descending order, all turned lower, with the S&P equal weight index holding on to the 50-day moving average, just consolidating recent gains over the last 9 trading days. Looking for a direction to start the week. The number of stocks above the 20-day faded a bit as well, along with the number of stocks above the 50-day back to 50%. In addition, the New York Stock Exchange Composite 2,000 stocks, we can see that the McClellan volume oscillator turned back down in the lower panel. All this indicates is that there's increased selling as we pull off of the red zone, with breadth in the New York Stock Exchange also echoed by the NYHL, new highs minus new lows. We're still above the zero line and consolidating with advanced decline, moving sideways, while the index consolidates right below all-time highs. We did end on a blue elder stick. This just means that we could see more consolidation, better than ending the week on a red elder stick or a series of red elder sticks going into Monday this week. Bottom line, VIX is a bit elevated. We have a red signal telling us to be cautious to start Monday trading. Junk bonds are above the 50-day moving average. This is a plus. It did end on a bearish candle on Friday, but the trend is up for now. RSI is still above 50. Biotechs, XBI, and IBB did bounce last week, following through on the previous week, still bullish, along with IWM, which has been moving sideways. Crude oil moved a bit lower, Bitcoin moved higher, and advanced decline, as previously mentioned, had been moving sideways. So for the most part, we're neutral to bullish on junk bonds, with the 10-year yield sitting on top of the 50-day, bouncing on Friday. RSI is rising. We need to see the 10-year yield continue to move lower if you're bullish. And we'd like to see the US dollar fade, especially if you're trading gold, which has been above the 50-day moving average for the last 3 weeks, looking for a follow-through to new all-time highs. With the Deutsche Bank commodity index fading. We'd like to see this fade a bit more. If you're bullish equities, watch for commodities to back off more this week after a 2-week downtrend. In addition to higher lows printing on copper, this is a leading economic indicator. We'd like to see copper make a new high. That would be good for stocks like Home Depot, Lowe's, and other construction-related names, as we look for economic activity to stay strong and to follow through into February. Finally, we have crude oil bouncing at the 50-day moving average after a 3-week decline. Overall, this is good for the consumer, especially if we can stay inside of these Bollinger Bands and below the 200-day moving average into the month of February. Overall, bonds, currencies, and commodities are giving us mixed signals going forward, with a leaning towards neutral at the present time. Here again, we need to pay attention to sectors and how tariffs might impact manufacturing, retail, energy, agriculture, and the auto industries. So keep an eye on the sectors this week. We'll do the same, with strength noted in communications, healthcare, and financials. Looking at small caps, we do see some strength in healthcare, with the other 8 sectors fading. It will really depend on how tariffs affect these sectors, both big caps and small caps, this week. So we'll be watching on Monday to see what is strong and what is weak, and focus our trading accordingly. Looking forward this week, we do have some stocks that look like they're going to follow through from the IBD 50 and scans with the 20-50-day cross in white and the blue dot scan in cyan. While keeping in mind the markets did close lower on tariff announcements on Friday, we'll see how things work out after about 10 o'clock on Monday. So keep an eye on these stocks for follow-through. They're set up. They should follow through, provided the markets don't pull back to start the week. Healthcare names like Alignment Healthcare above the 9/21 50-day, sideways last week. Looking for a break higher. RSI is showing muscle. MACD and stochastics are bullish. I'd like to see volume fill in a bit more. Arista Networks showing relative strength Thursday, Friday with dojis, but above the 50-day, RSI rising. Volume showing institutions that are picking up shares. Remember to check earnings with Arista, MACD, and stochastics turning, volume increasing. I would just watch some of these stocks in the group for their earnings. With Arista reporting again on February 18th, all 4 metrics are green, looking for, with earnings growth of 38.3%, revenue growth of 20%. Arista Networks looks pretty good. If we can get above the wicks from Thursday and Friday, look for a follow-through as MACD and stochastics are rising, as volume is increasing with MACD and stochastics rising. Financials look good last week. We're looking for TBBK, Bancorp Inc. to continue. We did see some selling above previous breakout levels, but volume increased. MACD and stochastics look bullish. RSI is rising. Look for Bancorp to continue. With the company reporting again in May, they beat consensus estimates. Only 2 metrics are green, however. Looking for this to follow through. The bank provides retail and commercial private label banking, institutional banking, and health savings accounts. TBBK with unusual volume on Thursday and Friday. Relative strength. Looking for this to continue as Bollinger Bands expand and RSI rises, showing strength of trend. Blue Owl Capital, this one's been on the IBD 50 for weeks and weeks. Volume shows that institutions have been picking up shares over the last few weeks. Trading near highs, RSI rising. MACD and stochastics are bullish. Celestica, highlighted last week, very active on Monday, Tuesday. Monday we gapped down. Tuesday, Wednesday, we had a nice reversal. Volume was what caught our attention. MACD and stochastics are bullish. Look for Celestica to break out this week. RSI is rising, with the company providing many of the components for technology, computers and networking infrastructure. Look for this to confirm. If it does break out this week, Bollinger Bands have started to turn. RSI is rising, showing the strength of this trend is still persistent and could see more upside. Look for Stellestica to follow through. Cloudflare reports this week. It's trading at all-time highs. I'm thinking this might be highs for now. With the company reporting on Thursday, 3 metrics green. It did miss expectations last time. However, volume over the last 3 weeks suggests institutions were buyers into the highs. CrowdStrike trading at highs. Security stocks look very strong last couple of weeks. With the company reporting at the end of the month, does show all green metrics. Looking for these cloud-based security stocks to continue higher as well, with a potential follow-through in CrowdStrike over the next couple of weeks. Doximity grinding higher. Bollinger Bands look like they're about to start expanding. RSI rising, volume increasing. MACD and stochastics are bullish. Duolingo continues higher, volume increasing. MACD and stochastics are bullish as well. RSI rising, showing strength of trend. Bollinger Bands are starting to open up over the last week, with the company beating, not reporting again until the end of February. 716% earnings growth. This might be a candidate that people miss and could see a follow-through into the weeks ahead, as earnings have been increasing along with revenue growth. Hims and Hers breaking out. Bollinger Bands opening up, volume increasing. MACD and stochastics are bullish. RSI rising, showing muscle. Strength of trend is persistent, while the company shows earnings growth of 250%, revenue growth 77%. And since earnings aren't until the end of the month, we could see a follow-through this week. Watch for Hims and Hers to continue what we started last week. Financial stocks, in particular, Charles Schwab, Interactive Brokers, and Robinhood, all continue this bullish trend that started a couple of weeks ago, breaking out of bases. Looking for many of these to follow through. This week, Miriam Pharmaceuticals and many in this group, along with healthcare names, showing strength last week. We'll see if they follow through this week. Natera in the healthcare group, trading at highs. RSI is rising. Volume started to increase last week. MACD and stochastics are rising. The company reports at the end of the month. You can see earnings growth 72.6%. Revenue growth 63.9%. Pioneer and global leader in cell-free DNA testing from a simple blood draw. Look for Natera to continue improving and following through on current bullish action. Palantir reports after the close on Monday, watching how this reacts. Trading at all-time highs. A potential winner in enterprise data platforms as it applies to AI with contracts with the U.S. government. I'll be waiting to see how this one trades after earnings going forward. Another healthcare name, Rhythm Pharmaceuticals, in the medical, healthcare, pharmaceuticals industry group. Doesn't report until the 20th, I believe. All 4 metrics are green. This one looks like it could see a follow-through as well, as healthcare continues to show strength. With RSI rising, price above the 50-day, Bollinger Bands starting to show signs of expanding, MACD and stochastics bullish, and volume picking up last week. Okay, traders, that's going to do it for me. This is Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com, Sunday, the 2nd of February, 2025. I'll send out a watch list later tonight around midnight on the East Coast, around 9 o'clock on the West Coast, so be sure to check your inbox for that. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your weekend, take care, and we'll see you in the morning. Ciao.